two weapons are two-handed sword and bow. So those are the weapon choices. Now the actual skills often change, but this is one that I've been using for maybe, I think, 4 or 5 days at this point, and I have been pretty consistent with it. I really enjoy this one. So on the two-handed bar, I'm using Rally. We'll just go over the skills quickly in case you're familiar with everything, and then you can just set it up the same way if you're trying to get the same build. We can go over what they do. So I'm using Rally, Dark Cloak, Surprise Attack, Reverse Slice, Ambush, Flawless Dawnbreaker. The bow bar is going to have Resolving Vigor, Relentless Focus, Retreating Maneuvers, Shadow Image, Mass Hysteria, and not Ice Comet actually, the other morph, Shooting Star. Which is always quite good. Okay, so let's go over where these things are from and what they do. So Rally. Basically you're going to find this in the two-handed weapons skill tree. This is going to be a heal over time, 700 health every 2 seconds, and an extra 1k whenever it ends. But it's a nice burst heal if you just burst it and like use it again before the end of the duration. That's what Rally does. The final heal is increased proportion to the time that Rally's been active. So you can refresh this, keep it on your character, and it's a burst heal at the end, plus Major Brutality. So this increases your weapon damage by 20%. It's quite nice. You want to keep this up at all times. You got Dark Cloak and Surprise Attack. What's going on, man? Welcome to the stream, Mr. Tunis. Thanks for the follow. So Dark Cloak is nice stealth for 2.9 seconds, cleanses 4 dots, Surprise Attack. Both of these moves come out of the Shadow Tree of Nightblade. So Surprise Attack is going to be a nice big damaging attack, about 6k, a lot over that when it's buffed, 6.5k, something like that. It makes them stunned, which is always nice if you attack out of stealth, and applies Major Fracture, so it reduces the armor by 5k. That only works if you're attacking from stealth, but the next patch is actually going to make it so that just reduces their armor automatically. Reverse Slice. Now, this is something you almost never see out there. This is one of my favorite moves. I basically took the alternate morph just to see how the other skill kind of works. We already know Executioner is quite good. Executioner is the, like I said, alternate morph of this. It's your finisher. It increases damage by 300% on wounded targets, wounded enemies. A wounded target is basically an enemy that is under 50% health. So this can easily scale up to 10k or more. Again, when buffed, this is going to be pushing 3.5k or something right there instead of 2.9. So the thing I like about Reverse Slice is right here at the bottom. Nearby enemies take 52% of the damage inflicted. If there's a guy who's dying and you're trying to get the kill and you're charging after him, or you're just working through a group and you found one target, so you're Nightblade so you can have a lot of burst damage, then it's going to do 52 splash damage, 52% splash damage to everybody within 5 meters. That's pretty dang good. The other one, Executioner, increases your single target damage by 18% for all two-handed moves on wounded targets. That's good for dueling. This is not a dueling build necessarily. Okay, so Ambush. Pass through the shadows, gives you Empower, so your next buff, or your next attack is going to have an extra 20% damage, which is kind of nice. Also, it stuns them for 1 second, and it's your distance closer. Pretty low stamina. This is the Assassination tree of Nightblade. Flawless Dawnbreaker I use almost never as an active ability, but this increases my weapon damage by 8%. I like this a lot using Surprise Attack and Reverse Slice there, so I can kind of cut through the enemies. This is found in Fighter's Guild. Right down in there. Good deal. So, other bar here. We got Resolving Vigor, always nice. 8k area heal, okay? Or 8k self-heal over 5 seconds. That's a ton. It's really a good amount. And then a 6k area heal for your allies. Use the stamina. It costs very little. You can literally use this every 2 seconds as long as your stamina recovery is over 1825, and you're not going to run out of stamina. You can continuously do this. It only lasts 5 seconds, so you want to have 100% uptime. I almost never do. I mean, basically, yeah, I'll use it whenever I'm low health. But you can't go wrong with this at all times, pretty much. Relentless Focus, this is a Nightblade Assassination move right here. It's the final move. It's pretty crazy. The active doesn't really do that much. You attack with 7 light or heavy attacks for within 20 seconds, and you get a spectral arrow. So you just hit it again, and then it does 8k damage. I haven't really seen it hit for huge amounts. See it hit for like a 10% of somebody's health, so I kind of ignore it even if I get it up a lot of times. But what I like about it is the passives for this. So it lasts 20 seconds and increases weapon damage by 8%, stamina by 10% regeneration. Retreating Maneuvers. This is another very different skill to have on a build like this. Most people use double take. Double take costs magicka. It gives you major expedition for 4 seconds, and also gives you 20% dodge chance. It's very good. If you're dueling, you want double take over retreating maneuvers. You almost always want double take over retreating maneuvers. I like retreating maneuvers because it grants immunity to snares and immobilizations. Well, guess what? It doesn't. This is not a working ability at all, unfortunately. So you can just watch. You can try it for yourself. You can use that and you're going to get snared and immobilized constantly. However, it does remove all of the ones correctly. And what I like about it is it lasts a long time. Okay, so let's scroll up there. Lasts 23 seconds, and you can use it while mounted. So I'm actually using this to get back to the battles a little bit faster. Again, this is not a dueling build, though I have actually used this build to duel and all that stuff. It's mostly just a fun build. You can build a lot stronger of a Nightblade than what I have, but this is a fun way for me to play. It just literally, so you've been in this keep too long, you need to leave. Oh no, it's just a random load screen. Okay, so apparently the skill bar is still there, but we can't see it because ESO. That's fine. Okay, so if I hit this button and I go over, okay, good, we made it to the next. Yeah, even though we're looking at a different bar, we are at the next one that we need. So shadow image. We gotta take it like it comes, right? So 41 meter range. I don't know if that's actually the distance range. I'll catch up on chat here in just a second. I want to keep the clip solid so we can put this on YouTube because everybody asks my build every few minutes. So the cool thing about this is you can actually place this shade and teleport back to it. It's amazing. You can teleport back to it anytime within 20 seconds. It also applies minor maim, which reduces their damage by 15% for a few seconds. And of course it attacks a little bit of damage, so it reduces their stamina if they're trying to block. It's not a bad move for just that one factor, but the fact that you can teleport with it makes it my favorite Nightblade move in the game. And Nightblade has a lot of great moves. So this is my favorite. There's no idea why we actually can't see the skill menu anymore. This is pretty strange. Let's try to exit out of everything. No, we can't exit out of everything? What is happening right now? Alright, well, that's where we're at. Look at this. This is crazy. Alright, let's go to the second to the last one on the main bar here. How bizarre is this? Has this ever happened to you guys? Yes, so. Holy crap. Alright, Mass Hysteria. This is a very common Nightblade move. Everybody loves this thing. It makes 3 enemies run away in fear for 4.5 seconds. It gives them minor maim, so you can basically take 3 people, reduce their damage by 15% each for 4 seconds. So that's the same of just reducing the damage you're about to take by 45%. So you really want to do that in any kind of 1 vs X situation, which is almost all situations. Not even 1 vs X, but just when there's a few groups in there, just drop this on the group. It'll really help a lot. It doesn't cost that much magicka. I don't know why my UI is so destroyed right now. It also snares them for 53 seconds, so that's good. And let's go over to, there it is, Shooting Star. Again, if you want to be a better duelist, you want to be a better fighter, you probably want Ice Comet because it's going to have a 85% snare reduction, or movement speed reduction, which is great. This one, though, does flame damage instead of cold damage, so it hits harder for vampires, which is nice. It hits Nords harder, but it doesn't hit Dark Elves harder, so there's a trade-off there. I think the flame damage thing is nice, but what I like is it gives you 12 ultimate back for every person you hit. So if I can drop this on 4 or 5 people, it's going to give me back the majority of the ultimate already. Now my cost is 190, that's because I have former Emperor buffs, and you guys don't. Well, most of you don't. But don't worry, all of those will be gone soon. In the meantime, okay, we're back. Good. So, okay, we actually did recover from all that. Now let's look at the character sheet buffed real quick. What the heck? Why is this even out of there? Okay, that was pretty crazy. Anyway, so character sheet looks like this. So, weapon damage is 3,141. That's buffed with Major Brutality, Minor Berserk from Relentless Focus, and while in stealth. You do more damage while in stealth as a Nightblade. So that's fully buffed, and it'll go down in a second as the Relentless Focus falls off and then Major Brutality falls off. Weapon critical is 50.9%. I'm not really doing anything in particular to get weapon critical, just kind of happens. So let's go back and look at the buff stamina recovery, which for the most part these will be on your bar basically the whole time. So 2,367 stamina recovery. Health and magicka recovery are relatively irrelevant to me. I'm not really worried about it. I am an Imperial, so you can see right there. Magicka is 9k, maximum health 24,000, stamina is 21,000. My attributes, I'm using 4 magicka. What I found is, through a lot of extensive research, having when that's given, I mean, of course, you can't really do anything other than that on this build. I have 12 health and then 46 stamina. So 46 stamina gives me just that extra stamina pool that I need, and I've lived a few times with about 50 health, so, but obviously it's all around this 4 magicka right here. I am a werewolf, so it's going to increase my in-combat stamina recovery by 15%. I think that's pretty important. Champion bonuses are, let's see here. It's pretty well condensed, so I'm reducing the cost of stamina by 6.6%. I have 160 champion points. A lot of people have a lot more than me, but even after they released the champion system, I wasn't even able to log in for 2 months, let alone play long enough for that. So I'm taking it pretty casually, but this is what I like to use. Stamina recovery 10.8%. That's Mooncalf, always a good one. You get some cool passives too. So right up here, like chance to reduce movement speed when you bash them. It's always good. But anyway, this isn't really built for the passives. I don't have enough champion points to really go crazy with that stuff. I have 1 point into Blade Expert. I like light and heavy attacks. Increase the damage by 1%. And Mighty is where most of my points go in, so my physical damage is increased by 15.4%. I have 1 point into Piercing, though I'm not sure if this really works right now. I've heard mixed things. So it goes basically through the armor, armor penetration. And then this is overall just increases the critical. So 1% critical, and then everything is really into Mighty. I use 1% increased spell resist. It's just to get away from the diminishing returns. I like to get 1% on a single champion point if I can. Did the same thing for my medium armor. And then I have 27 and 25 points over here. Reduces poison, disease, and magic damage by 10%, and then elemental reduces flame, frost, and shock by 9.5. So that's essentially how my champion points are allocated. Why exactly do I keep getting this weird menu from skills? Does that make any sense at all? It's so bizarre. And now, last but not least, would be this stuff. Okay, so I'm using my sets. I'm using 5 pieces of Hunding's Rage. That's the first set I use. They're completed on my 2 main weapons. Using Precise, so it increases my spell critical, weapon critical. I like Precise. You can go with Sharpened, you can go with a lot of different things, but I think Precise works well for me. I like to get 50% critical. It's not a min-max number crunch type of thing, that just, it feels right. So, enchantment over here, so increase weapon damage by 64 after 4 or 5 seconds. So after my first attack, it has a cooldown on it. I think it's 30 seconds, but it's whatever your internal cooldown is on your glyph. That's a nice weapon bonus for 5 seconds. On my bow, sometimes I open up from range with it. It has disease damage that reduces their healing by 30%, applying major defile, which is nice. So again, Hunting's Rage is completed on the bow and the two-handed. So other than Hunting's Rage, I use Cyrodiil's Ward. Now until 2 days ago, I used White Strakes, which adds 1800 spell resist. But even White Strakes is not a very good set of armor for this kind of build. Now Cyrodiil, Ward of Cyrodiil, what I'm using right now, is especially not a very good set for this kind of a build if you want to be a better fighter. You can use Ashen's Grip, you could use a shoulder, 1 piece, that would give you stamina regeneration, and a 2-piece set that would give you more stamina regeneration. You could do a lot of different things. I like Cyrodiil's Ward because I'm going to move faster. I'm going to move faster while mounted. I don't care how good of a PvPer you are, you're going to die, and so when you have to travel minutes, if you can cut that down by 15% every death, I'm going to get back into the battle a little bit faster. For me, this is just a flare type of a thing, along the same line as using retreating maneuvers and shadow image and shooting star and reverse slice. These aren't ways to be the best possible Nightblade or fighter, but they're fun for me to play, and so that's how I'm doing it. If you look at my gear, all of my gear has, not all of my gear, most of it has reduced sprinting cost. You'll be so much stronger than me if you go ahead and use Nirnhoned. You'll get your spell resist, increased it by 24% on 7 pieces. You'll be pushing 20 to 30k spell resist. I'm rocking about 11,000. So reduce sprint by 10%, reduce sprint by 10%. Critical hit resistance by 200. Mundus Stone effect, reduce sprint, and reduce sprint. So Mundus Stone that I'm using is the Warrior, that increases weapon damage by 10%. Last, I guess, but not least again, is the jewelry. So I'm using a 3-piece Shadow Walker. I've got a ring and a band. You can stack stamina if you get 2 bands. I know they're more expensive. I didn't even care and just kind of grabbed what I could find. So Shadow Walker, I have one that has stamina recovery, and I have two that have weapon damage. So that right there, I believe, is everything from armor to champion points to skills. Last thing I didn't mention, I still have no idea why this menu keeps showing up. What is that? Never seen that before. It's bizarre. Is I'm using 7 pieces of medium armor. What is this thing? This is so bizarre. Weird. We got a load screen, and now we have a partial menu the whole time. But I think that's everything. So that is the entire build that I'm using right now. I've been able to, let's see, what is it? Beat Titan's Bane in a duel with this build, other than I had double take. Why does that keep coming up? I have to break down the game or something? That's crazy. And the last thing I want to mention here are just some alternate moves that you can do with the same setup. Oh my god, this is ridiculous. Why is this happening? Stop it, stop it, stop it! What's in my Q slot bar is just something that makes me glow blue so I can find more enemies. But anyway, you can take off Rally, and you could use Mark Target or something like that. You don't really need the extra heal, but I think it's pretty cool with Major Brutality. I think it works well. The other thing, what the heck? I don't understand this. Is I don't use any actual active bow abilities. You could use Poison Injection or Lethal Arrow instead of Mass Hysteria and Shadow Image, and be pretty dang strong and good too. So that way you would just fight more from the edges. This build is built to kind of get in the middle of everything. I have no idea why this is happening, so I think I'm gonna have to exit the game real quick. I'll just log out and log back in. But that'll be good for the YouTube video, because I'm gonna have to make that. You guys are asking me every couple minutes, and now let me catch up on chat. I know I'm what,